Hello Aquarius, welcome to my channel. This is a reading for March 2024. Feel free to watch it whenever you feel called to. If you're another sign, welcome. I was anticipating this reading. I was getting a couple of little whispers, um, almost as if the whispers were saying, like, you don't know, as if dimming the severity of a situation, and then other energy really wanting to say, like, to tell it how it is, as if it's a war cry or a this is Sparta type of speech. I am feeling this is more of a fiery type of energy for this reading. Depending on the deck, the air signs and the fire signs can switch, and they do work well together too. So I think it wouldn't be a struggle to have the fiery nature in your for that to be expressed. And it is more of of an amping energy. So I am gonna start pulling the cards. The decks that I'll be using are the Slavic Legends Tarot by deck, the Earth Fairy Tarot. This deck that's in one of my favorite bags that I knit is the Tarot of the Elves. Then this is one that I crocheted, and it's the Circle of Life Tarot, as well as the Celtic Spirit Oracle. And I couldn't help but to feel that someone is so proud of you, and I was picking that up for the last couple of days, and the energy seemed to be getting stronger with that. There's this one card in that gets sold in the OTC section of the pharmacy, and it says on the front, "I'm so proud of you." And today, uh, so I was doing something else, and then the owner called me up front because we had some robberies last year. Some more um were larger than others, but essentially we've been trying to get the security systems going the way that they need to run in terms of passing the Board of Pharmacies regulations. Um, but I was called up front to watch some things, and I was supposed to go on my lunch break, but it was fine. I wasn't really too keen on going. I was about to go, and then there's a person that came up that had that card. So I had to wait a while to go on break. And as I was about to go, the person comes up with the card. "I'm so proud of you." So I feel like that is one of those direct messages for this reading too. I'm also getting the words clean slate. And there's this main word, I'll start pulling cards, I'm sorry, that is the word dehumanizing, especially when it comes to ethics. There could be something of doing something that works for you, as if, just an example, some forms of pills or capsules aren't able to be cut for various reasons. It could be like a coating on the outside or finasteride. Some of them have pellets in them, like progesterone or lithium. Some have powder in them because they're capsule form that contain the ingredients on the inside. Unless you want to break them to compound them or to reform them in compound to make them into something else or to dilute them or to put them in a form again to make it into something else that isn't available on the market. Um, Cycloserine with powder. Some of them might have liquid, like for a soft gel, vitamin D. Um, Two cards that flipped, the Sun and the Two of Wands. And it kind of looks like somebody's trying to make a break for the Sun. Sun can be not really that argued because a lot of people dub it as the best card in the deck. As you can see, there's other things that they could be leaving behind, other responsibilities, other people, other problems that they're leaving. One of the first things I'm thinking, can things be resolved before putting the baggage or leaving the baggage there? Um, Especially if it's your responsibility. If it isn't your responsibility, maybe it's best to leave it as it is. Because one of the main things is, as much as you want to be um, compassionate, there's a sense of compassion, but there's also a sense of boundary. And it's not, it, there comes a time where sometimes somebody else's karma, somebody else's responsibility becomes your burden. And then you start receiving their karma instead of them because they're not learning their lesson. Where are the sunflowers facing? The Tarot of the Elves do want to talk. Looks like there's a reconciliation type of energy too, as if for the Sun card, something just kind of warmed your soul, and then it's dim in the Two of Wands, and it's trying to figure out a way to get to the sun again, as if, again, eclipse or something that covers the sun. And then it feels like, depending on what type of eclipse, but almost like a loss of power, depending on what it is that are those responsibilities, are those things that you're leaving behind, those obstacles that you see in like video games or something that you had to get past to get to the next level. Um, and hopefully the place where you saved your game is still there. And it will still be there if you saved it. But in life, it is, you make it more complex than what it is. Sometimes there are external things that happen too that make it complex. This one, it does look like the sun is coming out though. The sun is rising, as if that eclipse has ended, or what has happened is finished for now. There is also a sense, because there's clouds in the Six of Cups, wanting to get past the BS, wanting to get past all of those things and trying to get clarity. Again, with the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is kind of getting straight to the point. Not necessarily a sword suit card, but again with the swords and the wands kind of intertwining. There is a reverse Six of Swords. Looks like there are things that are in your way that are hindering you. There's a saying that it's like, if you want to fly, you need to let go of like the shit that holds you down. Sometimes we think that we need some things when there's something greater out there to come into your life after letting go of something from the past. And the question is, why are we holding on? What significance does it have to us? Is it something that helps propel you or navigate the world like as like a status, or um, something that helps identify who you think you may be at the time? How beautiful. There is in the present, so you have the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is more of a higher commitment, almost church-like. with some decks, and you have the dynamic duo of the Queen of Cups, and the King of Cups. Now, what's nice about the sign of Aquarius, not only does air work well with fire, but Aquarius is also a water bearer too. So there is that connection. Sometimes the air suits or the air signs can be looked at as maybe a little neglectful of having emotional responses. They're quick with their brain because they're thinking maybe the brain outweighs the heart in some cases. And that's how things get justified and that's how things get done. Because we are, well, I'm a Libra, uh, are the air signs. We are the humans of the zodiac. So we tend to have that kind of response. And at times it can seem to be a little dehumanizing too, because there is a point where we let go or we neglect those emotional responses or emotional ties because we think that it gets in the way of something that's called power to us. And power can be defined as different things. If we look at the Hierophant, it can be seen as a little pompous too. Something that is that is kind of ingrained that we put on ourselves, that we refuse to see other pathways, that we refuse to see anything else but maybe tradition, or maybe the opposite of tradition, maybe something that's more of a modern perspective. But a lot of times we often go back to source. With medicine, we also go back to the traditional ways. Um, it is an ongoing cycle, and sometimes it's a merry-go-round, and we stay in that cycle for years just to find out that all these things were patterns. They kept us constrained. We kept ourselves constrained. I think this is time where we see the reality of things and the betterment of the situation and the betterment of humanity, and we seek other ways of doing what was um, honestly like a modern perspective. But then it goes flip flop because my Libra brain is thinking the what ifs. And that is a human response to what if I let this go? What if I change? So are we going past tradition or are we going towards tradition, or is it that balance that we try to find? Because it's necessary. It's a little bit of a paradox too, but it comes to that point where we constantly ask and we get answers, but then we get more questions. I wouldn't be afraid to ask. But what's really amazing, actually, like astounding in this reading is to find hope again in humanity, in relationships, in love, in times of stress, in times of genocide. What could be, but we can overcome. in some ways. This is a strong love reading, which is I love it. Um the obstacle is the Three of Swords. It looks like on both ends because it has two swans that are here, and they kind of are grouped together as if their trauma is what defines them, is what links them. Now, trauma bonding has specific definitions, so I'm not gonna go into that, but just to say that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, because with the bleakness, it does start to get lighter and things start to get clarified, and then you see the sunshine or the path of the sun that is radiating through the clouds. Because in the overall energy, in the how to overcome the next how to overcome the obstacle, or the next step, is the Ace of Coins and the Lover's card. And I feel like with the people in the back, it feels like people are kind of like rooting for them in a way. And it almost looks like, those, I guess, memes or moments where like your friend's on a date or something, and then your other friend is kind of like in the bushes, or just like kind of at another table and seeing how it's going. That's kind of how it feels like with that Lover's card. And even like the Little Mermaid too. Strong emotional response, as if it concaves. It's something that we have to respond to at that point, because there must be a reason why this response is so, or why the feeling is so strong. Because in the past, you have the Moon card. A lot of push and pull with this one. And the future is the Two of Cups. So you have the King and Queen of Cups, the lovers, getting past the Three of Swords, with the Ace of Coins, that could be calling it official, a new path that both of them decide to go on, because there's no I in team, so something is coming together. And it's also the integration of self too, of maybe modern and tradition. That could be some type of compromise that you get. And it could be someone more traditional and someone more modern, or someone that is seen as more modern and someone that is seen as more traditional. But when we realize that we aren't so far off from each other in terms of ideologies, of the things that we're looking for in life. So this could be like a night and day type of couple, seen as like maybe like a Bonnie and Clyde type of couple. And now I don't know exactly the media reference to it, but it saying it as more like a saying of those like partners in crime type of thing. And with the Two of Cups, this opening, it looks like a stag, which is one of like a pagan tool. And it could be a meeting. I found my stag in the woods when I met the Morgan. It's almost as if it's going through, or like, um, not otherworldly. In a way, it could be, but it does seem like something passes, and both of them kind of pass to get to that point. And for a while, it's like I was getting, she doesn't know, does she? As if the guides work with you, but sometimes you're not meant to know the whole plan. Because a lot of times, the things that you go through to get to from point A to point B, it might be like, I'm not, I'm not fucking doing that shit. Like, you want me to do this, and it ends up being something a lot more worthwhile. Because those sacrifices that you make are, those are big sacrifices, and then the universe rewards you with something so much greater. There's something that's intertwining, as if the fate, something about their fate is intertwining. I know, I just, just said that like 5 times. Um, I'm also getting blossoming. There's just a lot of fluidity with this, as if nature took its course. Someone might have a hard time with making sacrifices, as if we try to think that we could use everything for a lifetime in terms of like items that we have around the house. And then we feel bad when we have to throw them out. And I'm not saying this like with like a person or anything, but you can relate to it how you will. Sometimes those things served a purpose, and now we can pass it on, or we could throw them out because they're worn, they've had its time. Um, it could be some material things because it's the pentacles. Also, putting some things to rest, as if the stuff with the Two of Wands in the very beginning to get to the Sun card, the things that linger, the things that haven't been prepared or nurtured in our environment and within ourselves, it really takes a toll, because sometimes there's a lack. Um, as if we don't nourish some parts of ourselves that crave certain things, like an artist wanting to create. It's something that they feel that they're born to do. And when you take that away from them, what happens to their soul? There does feel like a sense of loss there. So it kind of feels like you're filling those gaps with something that doesn't need to be there. It's almost as if it impersonates it. And I have gotten on this tangent with the caffeine and the ATPs. on the caffeine having a similar molecular structure to ATP, adenosine triphosphate, linked to the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. So the ATP is the natural energy that the body produces, and when we drink caffeine, it or drink coffee that has caffeine in it, it kind of fills that gap or that place where the ATP resides or is supposed to reside. And at some point, um, it unbinds itself because it can't stay in that place. It's not meant to stay in that place. And that's when you feel the side effects of it. Sometimes it's good to do things, or a lot of times it's good to do things the right way, even if it takes longer. But going through that step by step, making sure that you cross your T's and you dot your I's, that those moments of time matter. Those little details are the ones that are things that give those personal touches to the results. And I feel like you'll learn some things about yourself. I feel that there's also like an encouraging thing for this reading to make sure that you find specific ways that you do things for different aspects. If you can, if the world tells you to do it this way and it's not working for you, try seeing ways that you could do it on your own to for it to fit with your lifestyle, for it to fit the type of person that you are. There could also be a delay. I'm also getting like so specifically random, but some people might be exhausted. Some people might have gone through different routines, different changes in, especially maybe the way that they like hygiene. Because with the Seven of Pentacles, it kind of feels like somebody was heavy at work. Um, and it kind of reminds me of like the speed stick. And I don't know if this is in other countries, but with the speed stick, it's like this deodorant that, is supposed to keep the keep you from sweating and kind of have the odor be at bay, but at some point like you start to get like tangy. It has like ingredients that cause that reaction. So it kind of seems like maybe your routine is more heavy duty or in a different way than what it normally is. And it kind of feels like if you can work smarter, not harder. If you can. Um, tangy like like cheeseburgers or something. It's very specific and unusual, but some people are just kind of looking for that resting state or that break. And it does look like with the temperance, it's doing that as if it honestly looks like being comforted by a lover type of energy out of from being exhausted and with the heavy duty, it looks like there's arguments too. Like with the Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles, especially where you're putting your money. So I still haven't pulled from the Earth Fairy Tarot, and I'll pull from the Celtic Spirit Oracle because I um it went away. I'll come back. Now I'm trying to think of what I was gonna say. Um, Let me think. But I'll just pull out other cards. This is good. And Temperance also linking to Aquarius in this video, in this reading. It also seems to be like a instinctual response or a stress response that you get too. Um, as if maybe your guides tell you something or you sense something too, or your source. Almost like the feeling of constantly needing to do something or go somewhere. And it makes sense, like maybe at the time or even further down the line when you do these things. Because what is your body or your mind trying to get to? Is it what type of safety net is it trying to have? And with the Three of Wands here, and with the, I say that because the Three of Wands actually depicts my old house. And with the stuff that was kind of um, haunting it. So I I feel like I was constantly trying to leave, but from maybe an outsider's perspective, like my parents, they were like thinking maybe I was being rebellious. And at the time, I could have been rebellious too. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But there was also a response of like constantly trying to leave that place and um, leaving that environment to sleep on my friend's couch in a not so good environment. And justice is at play here too. I feel like somebody or something is teaching you, because with the high priestess here, it's Coven Mother. And then the justice is here with your own values. And I really wouldn't have anybody take your values away of what's truly important to you. And Coven Mother also linking to, well, I wanted a reward. So, a couple years into reading tarot, one of the readers that I felt um, is a phenomenal reader and I trusted um, the way that she would teach things and the way that she guided the readings. She's also an air sign too. So it was nice to be mentored, and there were a lot of different things that little, or not little, but different techniques that would be in the lessons and the different ways that you would see the cards because you're trying to expand the ways that you're interpreting it because each reading is different. And there was also the importance for me of seeing how a reader would read. And there is definitely high expectations for it as um and at that time and even now it was definitely something worthwhile for me, and I'm happy that I was under her wing as if you learn how to fly. The oracle card is the she, ancient knowledge, help, dimensional. Oh, as I was saying, 10 minutes later, not saying it, I really was feeling the fairy energy with it being spring and the fairies really coming out. It's just been lovely. But with that card, I do feel like there is an importance of maybe seeing the things and the people that you're leaning on and for what reasons. To see what you could do, what you could accomplish, what is the driving force. Um, I was talking to my grandfather that passed, and I do ask for some things. I ask specific questions to see um, what insight he could give me. With one being, don't talk to them, they aren't kind, is one of the last messages for a specific question that I had. See why you trust certain people why you trust certain situations. And as I said, to not let go of the morality that you have because it is important. Um, and especially in these inhumane atrocities that we have. I'll pull out a couple more cards. And it just popped out. There are two. So it's the Eight of Pentacles. And the Six of Cups. Six of Chalices. It looks like there's a cycle that's trying to break. Because with the Eight of Pentacles, it's an action of doing things over and over again, as if you've done this for a long time. Because at this point, to get to the Ace of Coins, the Lovers, the Two of Cups for both the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups, it does seem like something needs to give. There is that compromise. There is a different way of doing things. And fluidity, but at the same time, not trying to change somebody into something that they aren't. With Eight of Pentacles, it looks like a string that held these beads together. It is not together, or it snapped, or it came apart. And then the Six of Cups again. This feels like going into the feminine energy. And it has the seahorse. And the male seahorse is usually like the caregiver in the relationship. So it does feel like to lean on specific strengths that you have. And there's the other Six of Cups too. I feel like this was more of a speech of maybe like a leader that has seen things over the years and has more of an open eye, or more of other viewpoints because of the things that they went through or they have seen. So the final card is the Hierophant again. With this, I really feel, and this is the other Hierophant card that was with the Queen of Cups and the, or that is with the King of Cups and Queen of Cups, that there are things that are helping guide you in this time. And if you feel a strong need to do something and it's safe to do it, or it's an opening and you feel like it's an opening, then I would do it. I would take that opportunity because you don't want to keep going through the same cycles over and over again. And to have history repeat itself, even though sometimes it seems like it was predetermined or preconceived or people already saw it coming. To make sure that if you want something else, to do things differently. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.